Dana White's Contender Series Week 8 full card predictions. Solomon Renfro and Johnny Parsons in the main event. Piera Rodriguez and Velasquez Machado. Piera Rodriguez being a fighter that did fight for the LFA belt and became the LFA Women's Strawweight Champion. We got Kyle Barajo, another fighter that has fought on Dana White's Contender Series in the past, and he did win the fight, but now he has one more fight against Jesse Murray. We got Kalev versus Armin Petrossian, if I'm saying the name correctly. We got Pedro, Falco, and James Barnes. So we got a bantamweight fight, light heavyweight fights right here. This one not necessarily light heavyweight, because Jesse Murray, he's a little bit small for the light heavyweight division, and Kyle Barajo is very, very small for the light heavyweight division, mainly being a middleweight fighter, just coming on short notice. We got a women's strawweight fight and a welterweight fight, but overall a very, very good fight card. We are going to do our predictions for every single one of the fights right here. So let's go on to the first fight right here in the bantamweight division. James Barnes and Pedro Falco in the bantamweight division. Both guys do have very, very solid jiu-jitsu games. I believe both guys have black belts in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. James Barnes being the much taller, lengthier guy, and the striking is literally just looking at point strike, 1-2 at range, leg kick, body kick, and just point strike. He's not going to really try to put himself in too much danger. He's going to use that height, use that reach, stay at range, and try to win a decision in the striking. The grappling edge, I would say, goes to James Barnes in terms of the submission game, as he does have 11 submission wins on his record. Pedro Falco does have very good grappling as well, but I would say he's more of the wrestler in the fight because he's going to be a lot smaller, a lot less lengthy than James Barnes. He's got a lot stronger than James Barnes as well. So the game of Pedro Falco right here, the way I see Pedro Falco actually winning the fight would literally be to go out there, use that smaller frame of 5 foot 4 inches tall, throw some really, really powerful shots on the feet, close that distance of 5 foot 8 to 5 foot 4, just come forward with pressure and volume and throw some really, really powerful shots on the feet and mix in some takedowns. I believe the grappling is very even. Again, I'm giving the advantage to James Barnes just because he's just a very, very slightly better Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. But if Pedro Falco can go out there, get the takedown, and just defend the submission while landing a little bit of ground and pound, I can see him using that to win the fight. So the wrestling is there for Pedro. The power is there from Pedro. The volume is going to be very, very even. But because Pedro and James Barnes are so even on the feet, and the fact that I think Pedro will be able to sustain himself on these submission attempts from James Barnes, take down James Barnes over and over and over again, and go right upon on top while not getting submitted, I believe that Pedro Falco should be able to win the fight by a decision. James Barnes has 14 wins of 4 losses. If you look at how many of those are by knockout, a head kick knockout right there, second round doctor stoppage, and then a first round knockout to AJ McKee Jr. of all people right there. Pedro Falco does have a good shot of going out there and getting a knockout, as 5 of his wins are knockouts. It's very tough. If James Barnes is going to win, it's going to be a submission on bottom, maybe a triangle, maybe an armbar, maybe he reverses position and gets a rear naked or something like that. But the main way I see James Barnes winning would be a submission. The main way I see Pedro winning, I'm going to say he's going to be a decision because he's just going to be ground and pounding. I don't think he knocks out James Barnes in the striking per se because of the high end reach, but he's going to put on the pressure on the feet, mix in the takedowns, and win the fight by decision. Not to mention he is going to be the bigger fighter in the 145-pound division, moving to the bantamweight division. So there's so many factors going towards Pedro Falco winning the fight. So my prediction right here in the bantamweight division is going to be Pedro Falco winning that fight by a 30-27 decision. Really good fight in the bantamweight division right there. Armin Petrossian and then Kalev in the light heavyweight division. Not too sure if I'm saying Armin's name correctly, but he's a beast. I mean, Armin Petrossian has some crazy striking. Out of his 5 wins and 1 loss, that 1 loss was a knockout loss, and all of the wins are also knockout wins. First round knockout win, third round knockout win, second round knockout win, second round knockout win, and first round knockout win. Most of those fights aren't really against the best competition, but 2 of them were against some very, very legit guys like Artur Aleksandar and then Dmitry Minakov right there, which he did beat both of them by second round knockout. Against Dmitry, he went out there, he just put on the pressure, and he just kept on coming forward with a lot of pressure. The first round was a little bit iffy, it was pretty close, but the second round, he looked amazing. I mean, once he senses the finish, he's close, he's hurting you a little bit in the striking, he literally just comes forward and puts it on you, and he did that in the fight and ended up getting the knockout. He does that in all of his fights. Once he feels that you're a little bit hurt, he just keeps on coming forward until he gets that finish. But right here, I don't know if coming forward, looking for that finish, and just throwing really big shots is the best game plan of fighting a guy like Kalev, because Kalev does have a very, very good wrestling and grappling game. If Armin decides to come in way too hard on the striking, he's going to end up getting taken down. He's got good double A takedowns, good single A takedowns. I think he does have some good trip takedowns in the clinch, but I don't know if that's going to be the best game plan here, because the main way I see him actually taking down Armin is when Armin is coming in with his strikes, he can level change and go for the takedown. So the trip takedowns could be there, but mainly I'm looking for the single leg and double legs as Armin is coming in. But overall, we know the game plan of both guys. Kali and Kalev is just staying at range, playing the counter-punching game as Armin is coming in with his big body case, with his big right hooks, left hooks, all that type of stuff. He's going to go down for the takedown and kind of grind you out to a decision. Not really one of those guys looking for a flashy finish. He does have a couple of finishes on his record with 7 knockouts, 1 submission, and 2 decisions, but most of those knockout wins are ground pound knockouts. So if he's going to finish him, it's going to be a ground pound TKO, but I do believe this fight is going to go to a decision. Armin Petrossian, all of his losses are by finish, all of his wins are by finish. That's tough. I'm going to switch that. I'm going to go Kylo and Kalev by knockout right there. Armin is really going to go hard for that finish in the first and second round. I do believe that because he's going to be knowing that Kylo and Kalev is going to be going for the takedowns later on in the fight, Armin is really going to put on the pace early and look for the finish in the first and second round. It's going to get him tired for the second and third round, where Kylo and Kalev is going to take him down and ground up on TKO. But it is a very, very close fight. Definitely would not say Kalev should be as big of a favorite as he was not too long ago. He was like a minus 300 favorite at one point, which I thought was absolutely insane. Machado and Kalev, I still think will win. Play the counter-punching game on the feet, mix in the takedowns, and end up TKOing him in the later rounds. Really good fight right here in the light heavyweight division. Kyle Barajo and Jesse Murray in the light heavyweight division. We already know Kyle Barajo fought, I believe, 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago. Even less, only 2 weeks ago against Aaron Jeffrey. He looked absolutely amazing. Didn't even need to use the wrestling and grappling, which he is very, very known for. He has a lot of anacondas, Darce chokes, rear nakeds, all that type of stuff on his record so far. So he has a really, really good grappling and wrestling. But in the fight with Aaron Jeffrey, he didn't even need to show the wrestling and grappling, as he went out there and had amazing, amazing speed in the striking. The boxing shown from Kyle Barajo, the speed of which Kyle Barajo throw. He's got more power than Aaron Jeffrey, and I don't know if he's going to necessarily have more power than Jesse Murray, because Jesse Murray is literally just going to be a lot bigger. Jesse Murray's last fight was, I believe, in the 195-pound division, maybe the light heavyweight division. Let me check right here. Yeah, light heavyweight division right there. So he's a light heavyweight fighter, while his opponent, Kyle Barajo, is mainly going to be a middleweight fighter. He did take the fight from 2 weeks ago on his last fight on Dana White Centenistries, which was in the middleweight division. So right here, the size goes Jesse Murray, the skill goes Kyle Barajo. Kyle is much faster, he's much more powerful, he's got the grappling, he's got the wrestling. I was not impressed by a lot of the fights I've seen from Jesse Murray, and he gets taken down very, very easily. Kyle can definitely go out there with a high wrestling and grappling game plan and win the fight that way. But the last fight, the main reason he did not get the contract was he did not go for the finish. This time, I think he wants to impress Dana, keep the fight on the feet, and go for that knockout. I do believe Kyle Barajo will get the finish here. I can see him going for the wrestling and grappling game and TKOing on the ground and maybe getting a submission. But I do think because he wants to really impress Dana White, he's going to keep the fight on the feet, use that speed, and as Jesse Murray comes in, he's going to land a big shot and knock him out in the first or second round. But really good fight in the light heavyweight division. A much bigger opponent versus a much smaller opponent right there. Middleweight versus a light heavyweight. But I'm going to go with the smaller guy in Kyle Barajo. He's just better in every facet of the game. But I'm going to go Kyle by a knockout in the first or second round. Really good fight in the light heavyweight division. Velasquez Machado and Pedro Rodriguez in the women's strawweight division. Now, Velasquez Machado has not really been too active. Her last fight was 1 year, 2 months ago. Before that, 2 years, 3 months ago. Before that, it was pretty active at that time where she was fighting, let's see right here, about 4 times in 1 year. But in the last year, she has 0 fights. I don't know if she's got injured or anything like that, but I do know she is going to be fighting here. I'm really concerned about the time off, but she's still a very, very good striker. This is going to be a good fight. Velasquez Machado is going to be the taller, lengthier girl. Probably not by a lot. She's only 1 inch taller in height and probably going to have a couple inches in reach. But the main game plan for her right here is literally just to keep at range, jab and 1-2 leg kick, body kick, stay on the outside, stay away from the pressure of Pedro Rodriguez, and do not get taken down by Pedro Rodriguez. We know the wrestling Pedro Rodriguez is very, very solid. 6 wins and 0 losses. 28 years old. 5th round ground pound TKO on Svetlana Gotik in LFA 105 for the LFA strawweight belt. Before that, a lot of wins by ground pound TKO. We know the game plan of Pedro Rodriguez is literally to do what we saw Ariane Carnelosi do this weekend. We know Ariane Carnelosi versus Estela Nunes was mainly a tall Muay Thai kickboxer type of girl versus a wrestler who just comes forward with big shots. That's kind of what I see happening here. Pedro Rodriguez coming forward with some really, really big shots, landing the more powerful shots, but Velasquez Machado landing more volume, but not as powerful of shots. And Pedro mixing in the wrestling, landing a little bit of ground and pound, and I do think she definitely could be able to knock out Velasquez Machado, as all of her wins, except for one, is a finish. But Velasquez Machado has never been finished. And she does have very, very solid grappling, which I think could kind of limit the amount of ground and pound Pedro Rodriguez will be able to use. But overall, Pedro is going to put on the pressure in the striking, mixing the takedowns, and absolutely destroy her on the ground with ground and pound. I think we're going to see a 30-27 right here. On the feet, she wins with the power. She wins with the pressure. And on the ground, she wins with the ground and pound. So either way, I'm going to go Pedro Rodriguez. I have her winning the fight by a 30-27, 30-27, possibly a 30-26 unanimous decision. But really good fight in the women's strawweight division. Solomon Renfro and Johnny Parsons in the welterweight division. The main event of Dana White's Contender Series Week 8. Johnny Parsons, all I got to say, Muay Thai, pretty tall, pretty lengthy. He's going to be a little bit taller than Solomon Renfro. Not too sure about the reach, but he's a Muay Thai guy. Trying to keep range, keep his hands right here, and body kick you, leg kick you, high kick you, front kick you, jab 1-2 on the outside. That's just what he's doing. He's trying to mix in those kicks and mix in the knees in the clinch, the elbows in the clinch. He's a Muay Thai guy. That's the game plan of Johnny Parsons right here. This is stay away from those boxing combinations, keep at range, and mix in the kicks to maybe get a head kick knockout, something like that, or just win the fight by a decision. He's coming off a head kick knockout in the last fight, but right here, that would be the main way of winning for Johnny Parsons. Keep at range and win with the kicks at range. The wrestling and grappling, not really the best of either guy. I would say Solomon Renfro probably has the wrestling and grappling advantage, but not by much. Neither guy is really going to be the best wrestler or the best grappler, but in terms of striking, I would say, of course, Johnny has the kicking advantage, and then Solomon Renfro is going to be having the boxing advantage. The hands of Solomon Renfro are absolutely amazing. The only loss from Solomon Renfro is to Mike Mallet by first round submission. Mike Mallet, the guy that went out there on I believe it was on short notice or something like that, and beat an Israeli, I'm forgetting the name, Simon Mishkri on Dana White's Contender Series a couple weeks ago. That is the only loss from this man. Other than that, he's absolutely destroyed pretty much every other fighter he's faced. His boxing in the last 2 fights, getting 2 first-round knockout wins in a row. The boxing of Solomon Renfro is absolutely amazing. I believe Johnny is going to be on the back foot. Solomon Renfro coming forward with a heavy pressure, a heavy volume, and boxing combinations predictions. I don't think Johnny Parsons is going to be able to deal with the pressure and volume of Solomon Renfro. Solomon is going to come forward where Johnny Parsons isn't really able to land those kicks. He's going to close that distance, not be able, he's not going to allow Johnny Parsons to be able to land the Muay Thai kicks at range that he usually is looking to land. He's going to close the distance, land the boxing combinations, and because I know both guys are going out there, going to be looking for the finish, both of them have a lot of finishes on the record, I'm going to go Solomon Renfro by a knockout here. I think Johnny Parsons can possibly survive the onslaught of Solomon Renfro, those boxing combinations of Solomon to lose the fight by decision, but either way, Solomon Renfro by knockout or by a decision. I'm really not too sure. I'm very split on a decision or a submission from Johnny Parsons or Solomon Renfro. I'm gonna go a decision. Johnny Parsons, out of those two losses, both of them are by a decision, so I believe he's gonna eat a lot of boxing shots and end up losing the fight by a decision. The boxing of Solomon Renfro is just gonna be way too much. So my prediction right here in the welterweight division is gonna be Solomon Renfro winning that fight by a 30-27 unanimous decision. Really good fight in the welterweight division. Yeah, guys, that is my full card prediction for Dana White's Contender Series 2021 Week 8. I got Solomon Renfro winning his fight by a decision, Pedro Rodriguez winning her fight by a decision, Kyle Barajo by a knockout, Kalev by TKO due to ground and pound, and Pedro Falco winning that fight by a decision right there. That is my full card prediction for Dana White's Contender Series Week 8 of 2021. If you want to see some of my bets that I am going to be making for Dana White's Contender Series, as well as UFC, Bellator, PFL, One Championship, so many other organizations out there, click the link in the description below or the pinned comment down below, and you can see all of my bets for only 10 cents a day. But really good fight card right there. Dana White's Contender Series Week 8 of 2021. Solomon Renfro, Pedro Rodriguez, Kyle Barajo, Kalev, and then Pedro Falco winning their fights. I have all favorites winning, but in terms of the closest fight out there, I would say it's the fight with Kalev and then Armin Petrossian. Second to that would probably be the James Barnes Pedro Falco fight. But overall, a really good fight card for Dana White's Contender Series. Cannot wait, but those are my full card predictions